Hey, we're live. It's the Over Under podcast. I'm Joe Murray. He's Dan Lifshatz. This is our long view here. If I go here, here's our far view, whatever, right? Which one do you like, people? Do you like this one?
No.
You like this one?
There we go. It's a little bit better.
There we go.
It's a little bit better.
So let's get it going here.
Episode 100.
Whoa.
Yeah, episode 100 of our podcast. This is it right here.
Holy crap.
Yeah. 3 years.
Let's get a little banner going here. Episode 100.
100. I have to look at how many downloads we have through the history of everything. See if I can do that. But yeah, nice little thing.
Is that how you spell episode? Whatever. I should know this by the next episode, Dr. Dre. So just chill to the next episode. No, you haven't missed anything. I do we even need to give PB? Do we even need to do that anymore? I don't know. You know, it's like a whatever. I still have to explain. Okay, fade means to go against. Follow means to follow the pick. So like, don't fade on me, bro. Means don't back up. Don't like fade me. Like fade, go against, follow. Follow. Anyways, yeah. So all right. So someone mentions waiting for those second halves. So Dan, I've been a closet gambler on college basketball. I've been betting a lot on college basketball. I hit Baylor last night. Baylor second half. Baylor in the over. Not Baylor. Yeah, Baylor last night. And I hit all those. This was just last night. Who I have? I had a couple of ones. I had BYU last night. And then even though Penn State won on a 3, well, I had them 4.5 VCU. So like I was hoping that would happen. Boom. So I've been a closet college basketball gambler, and I don't want to post anything because like you know how it works, right? You post it and then it goes to shit. So and I don't have anything as of yet, but I'm looking at that Florida BC game tonight. So who knows? Maybe we'll have something on that. But I mentioned this last week to Dan. NFL still sucks. Like I had the Browns last week, backdoor cover. If you had the Steelers yesterday, backdoor cover. The Chiefs, backdoor cover. So the prime time, and just favorites in general are a no bueno. But I'll tell you this much. I think college basketball might be the way to get back on track because I have a different mindset now when it comes to betting college basketball. Plus, I don't really have these COVID implications so far. So that's my little opening rant.
Yeah. So I mean, I've been posting college basketball. We've done small plays every play but one, which was Wyoming. We gave on the show.
You had Rhode Island. You had Rhode Island last night.
Yep.
And that was a close game, and then they blew them out second half.
Yep. I like them second half on the second half line. I've been trying to, slowly, gradually, kind of getting everything, get everything in, and kind of, passing out. I do have a play for you guys tonight. There was a play, that I liked at 6:00, but honestly, the line just dipped too low, so I didn't want to give it out. I do have a play for you guys tonight at 7:30. I will give it out. I'll just give it out now. And we'll give it out a few times during the show. La Tech, Louisiana Monroe under 140.5. So to me, that is a play tonight. I am personally playing it small. I'm going to be counting it towards the tracker small. If you guys want to play it larger, feel free. It's up to you. But yes, I'll be playing Monroe La Tech under 140.5. And I will continue to make sure I give that out throughout the show. Obviously I'll do my best. Again, if it moves, I apologize. It's college basketball, expect it. Expect everything to move. Because again, it's college basketball and this kind of shit that happens. So
I would just like to reiterate this guy, nobody likes to hear you winning your bets. Did you hear me say that we started the year like college basketball has been like the kryptonite and they haven't given out picks yet because they're trying to figure it out? Yeah, that's why. I haven't given out any picks in college basketball because we don't know what's going on. It's been a fucking week. I know, Dan, you've been giving them out. I haven't yet. I haven't fucking done it. And you sound like Vegas Dave. Listen, by the way, You guys shit all over Vegas Dave, and I think he's a dick. Don't get me wrong. This motherfucker is raking in fucking dough because idiots are fucking paying for subscriptions. So, like, literally, everyone wants to shit all over Vegas Dave, and Dan, he sucks, right? As a human being, the man sucks.
I don't like him. I'm not going to defend him here.
No, don't defend him. But let's just be honest. This motherfucker charges $3.99 a fucking subscription and is raking in the dough and watching the money come in. Watching the money. And you know what? I fucking look at it and I'm like, oh, yeah. He's a fucking scammer. Don't get me wrong. He's a scammer. That motherfucker's rolling in the dough. Rolling in the dough. And you know what? If you want to be a scammer and roll in the dough, go ahead. We're fucking two guys who work at a radio station who are trying to bring gambling to Boston and talk about it on the radio. That's what we are. If we give out a pick, we fucking loses, it loses. If it wins, it wins. We've had a good track record. This year the NFL blows in college. It sucks. I'm trying to get going in fucking college basketball, so let's fucking do it. All right, end of rant. All you pricks out there.
Okay, well,
I love everybody, by the way. Thank you. 100. Hey, Dan. 100th episode. Woo!
100th episode. So I gave out a play. If you missed it, I will give it out a few times during the podcast. I will be double checking to see if there's anything like second half during the podcast. I know that there are some games that are tipping off at 7. That UConn USC game, which I kind of wanted to have on TV, but I'm not really going to pay enough attention. And one I'm actually probably going to pay attention to more is that Marshall Wright State game. I like Wright State quite a bit. So, I mean, just as a team, not tonight in general, but I mean, just as a team, I think that they're an underrated team this year. And obviously UConn is the name power in that USC matchup, but I think USC could be the more talented of those two teams. I want to see, both those teams. And yes, I would play it out for Nitro there. I would play at 139.5. I would play that down to 138, honestly. I feel pretty
what game is this again, Dan? Say it
La Tech UL Monroe under 140.5. You should be able to get that on Ace right now. You should be able to get it on, Bookmaker. There's a whole slew of sites. Anyways, I don't think it will matter. I think, I think it'll be fine. And again, as I just said, I am not taking USC or UConn in that game. I don't really have a betting interest in that one. Look, both teams have looked really good so far. I think UConn was disappointing against University of Hartford, my alum, my place there. I do think that USC is probably getting a little bit of hype off that BYU. They demolished BYU. That being said, I think this is going to be a pretty good matchup tonight. I do. I don't think this is going to be, crazy. I lean UConn in that game, but again, I do think that this is going to be a pretty good game tonight. I will say it is basically a UConn home game because it's in Uncasville. It's in
Big East, baby. Big East.
It's in Connecticut. There's no travel. So yeah, but so the 2 7:00 games I'm paying attention to, that Marshall game, that Wright State Marshall game, and UConn USC. As I said, in that UConn game, I lean UConn. I do. I think they are the better of the two teams. I think USC, obviously coming up that BYU win, it's going to be inflated, but still, UConn was disappointing at best versus my alum U-Heart. And then Marshall taking on Wright State again. I really like that Wright State team this year. Marshall, good win versus Arkansas State. I don't think Arkansas State's going to be anything to write home again, about in college basketball this year. And so it's not a game that I'm going to take too much away from. So we're going to start slow on that. And I do agree. USC is definitely the public play in that. For Ben, who keeps asking, what is the PP year to date? Everything is tracked for you in the Action Network.
I actually did. I think you're doing very well in college basketball so far. I mean, I know there's been a few losers here and there, but in college basketball, I think you're doing well. Football, we're not. I'll be completely honest. NFL in particular, it fucking sucks. I don't know any way around it, dude. I've been like nitpicking around it. I agree. 2 weeks ago, Green Bay I had against the Colts when they lost. I was like, dude, I can't figure this the fuck out. Like the Patriots last week against Arizona. Like I can't. It's just. But I got more. I'm going back at it, Dan, this week. So someone's asking our PP record. Real quick, I just wanted to go over the because I know you were talking here and people are saying it's glitching. You can go on YouTube as well. I shared the link on Twitter if you want. That UL Monroe, Louisiana Tech line right now, Dan, 140 at my 140. Can you see it now?
Yep. I mean, it's 140 and a half for me.
So you're going what on that?
It's 140 and a half. And again, it doesn't matter. 140, 140 and a half, 139 and a half. Yeah, honestly, I play it down the 130.
So you're going what? Over?
Under.
Under 140, huh?
Yep.
UL
Monroe, Tech,
I'm riding Dan Lipschatz tonight, everybody. Let's get on the under train. Under train. By the way, there was a football game that just kicked off a minute ago here. And the reason why I didn't touch the football game, Dan, La Tech in North Texas, La Tech can't do anything on offense right now. They should win tonight, but they can't do it. And I start with a pick 'em. I've worked all day. Dan, what time did you get up this morning?
I was up at 5:30.
Yeah, so okay, I'm same as me. I'm fucking overtired right now, but I'm ready. This is episode 100, right?
Yep.
So let's do it. I'm on the first bet. I'm going under 140, 7:30 start. Everybody listening, 7:30 start, under 140 or whatever you have it at. UL Monroe, Louisiana Tech. Let's put that bad boy in right now, Dan.
It's 140 and a half is what I have. I don't think the half point will matter. So
your line is 140 and a half.
Yes, again, okay. I don't think it will matter.
I'm not going to buy it, but we're rolling.
You do not need to buy it. 140 is fine. 139 and a half is fine. 139 is fine. I think those are all the available numbers right now. That's actually a 141 in a few locations too. That's fine as well, of course. I'll be looking at the second halves between Washington, Utah, and Tennessee Tech, North Kentucky. I did like the under in that North Kentucky game, but the underline, I don't know if you guys saw, moved about 15 points, 10 to 15 points from the opener. So there was just no way I could give that out. Just too much movement. 7 o'clock, just repeating myself, interested in the Marshall Wright State game. And I do lean UConn in the 7 o'clock game. I know someone asked about the total in that one.
Lean UConn.
Again, this is not a play. I'm not playing it. I'm just, people have asked me about the game. I'm just discussing it. I do lean the under in that UConn game as well. Basically, again, just strictly going off of it, UConn has been, despite their opening game, I thought they played more of their regular sort of game versus Hartford, and they were much slower paced. Same with USC. So yes, Matt Patricia is back and hired. He's talking about gambling now. So
he might as well, right?
I mean, honestly, I'll take Matt Patricia on the podcast. I'll gladly have a rocket scientist.
They hit that team total on Thanksgiving, which I'm still pissed about.
I know.
2-point conversion, dickhead. Anyways. So UConn USC, huh? See that USC freshman they got there. What's his name? Mobley. Dude's pretty. Actually, Dan, there's a lot of dudes this year that came because really there was no end of the season last year, and then we didn't know much about kids from high school this year. There's a kid from Illinois that's outstanding. Zaire, what's his name from Stanford, right? Yep. I'm trying to think of who else. The kid from Illinois was nasty last night.
There's a kid on UConn, James Bouknight. I think if you watch that game tonight, you'll be impressed by what he does. He's pretty impressive now.
Yeah, booyah. He's good. He's their top scorer through 2 games.
Right now,
and then they got the dude from URI too, Tyrese Martin or whatever.
Yep,
they got him.
Tyrese Martin, the transfer. USC, they have. I don't know if they're brothers, so I don't want to say, but they have 2 Mobleys. Evan is I think probably the little bit better of a player. But they're both forwards. I think Evan's a little bit smaller than Isaiah, but Isaiah also has been really good. So both those Mobleys have been very good. So far, Evan actually shoots a little bit of the 3 ball. I don't think that Isaiah shoots the ball, but I have no idea. Anyways, so basically that's kind of the breakdown of that game. I gave you my leans in the 7 o'clock games. Quickly, do you want to talk about the 8 o'clock college basketball games, Joe? Or no,
yeah. So you mentioned just real quick. You mentioned USC. So I'm all over the place right now, but yeah, so 7 o'clock, 7:30. I'm going to stay away from the Iowa Western Illinois game, even though the only thing I'll say about Iowa was they should have covered in the last game. They got backdoored in that last one that they should have covered. I did watch Virginia Tech beat was it Villanova? So Maybe watch that one at 8 o'clock tonight. Some of these big ones, like Purdue, I had the other night, Dan. They fucking rolled Oakland. The reason why I was on that one was because Oakland won in the overtime with Michigan, right? And they've lost. You even had, remember Xavier week one.
Yeah,
Oakland's not a good team. They ran out of gas, and Purdue ran them out of the building second half. So sometimes it's good to look at that. What else?
Oakland is also just very down. Again,
Bad.
we know that they're a good program. We've seen them in the past few years kind of be on the rise. This year they're down, and I think why I felt that very much coming into that Xavier game, the first game of the season that we were on. To me, Oakland's going to be a team that you're looking to fade this year. Kind of the opposite, that VMI Virginia Tech game you mentioned tonight, Joe. I think VMI is going to be better than they've been in the past. VMI has kind of been an auto fade for most people. They were in that Penn State game for a little while, and then they lost the game. They Penn State pulled away again. Penn State should be pretty decent.
You might be right about that. The head-to-heads in that, underdog 5-2, road team 5-2 in those meetings. Last 7 between these two teams.
Yeah, I do think that VMI will be better this year. That being said, they just had a really good win versus Longwood. I know that, again, not exactly an impressive team. Vodtech this year, to me, has been underrated. Even at number 16 in the country, again, I still think that they are underrated. That win versus Radford to open the season was impressive. Obviously, beating Villanova anytime is impressive. And I believe they covered versus South Florida. Again, not a great team, but just a good team. So, I mean, to me, there's Virginia Tech is going to be a team you want to watch for. Same thing with, like West Virginia. There are a few teams this year that are going to be, quite good this year. And I think Virginia Tech is one of those underrated teams right now. Again, long season. This is the first few games, but we'll kind of get into that. I know that Niagara plays Syracuse tonight. Syracuse, looked very pedestrian in their opener versus Bryant, barely won. Obviously we know Bryant basketball very well, thanks to our own John Wallach, Waldick.
And it was close, but dude, that game went way over the total.
Way over. And again, I think Syracuse will probably be down on the year. Drake, I'm a little worried about.
Oh yeah, I had them. I forget what they did last year. They covered for me late in the game. I remember.
Yeah, they opened the season versus Kansas State, and they won that game. They were a 7-point dog, I believe. I was on them that game. Here's the problem. Kansas State is not a good team. And I know, again, you have to separate college football and college basketball, but they're not a good team. And I didn't think they were very impressive in that South Dakota game. I did watch a little bit of that. I think Omaha has a chance to cover tonight. They got blown out.
I've watched them. They're a decent team.
Yeah, they got blown out late versus Creighton, but they've been in every game. I know Abilene Christian got away from them late as well. And Creighton, again, Creighton's, a top 10, 15 team. So, they're going to be a little bit different, but a good win versus Mid-Tennessee State. And they were in that Austin P game the whole time. I do think Omaha has a chance to cover them, tonight. Not a game I'm going to be on just yet. We could talk about that Seattle UCLA game. Seattle is going to be much better than people think this year. They're a team that can play. They have depth, which is, impressive. Again, obviously, I know UCLA like 20 tonight. It's a game probably I'll stay away from. UTSA Oklahoma, kind of the same thing. I don't really know what Oklahoma is yet, so we're going to see that. TCU Northwestern State. I'm surprised that from what I'm hearing is that people really like Northwestern State tonight. I don't know much about the team. I know they're 0-3. I have not seen them much. I can tell you a lot about TCU. I've been super impressed with what TCU's done early in the season. Their win versus Liberty was not great offensively. They struggled badly, but their win versus Tulsa was impressive. I was on the other side of that with Tulsa, and frustrating to see TCU cover that game, but they deserved it. They were the better of the two teams, and Northwestern State to me has been horrendous. They give up a shit ton of points. Which is why I want to take I actually want to take the under in that game, but I'm not going to. And I do think TCU probably covers that fat number. Again, in the final two big games tonight, I don't want to go too deep in these. Florida, BC, Joe, and Arizona State, Cal.
Can I just give you something on Florida, BC, real quick?
Yeah,
Florida played Army the other night. It was Florida's first game. They've had to wait a while. They ended up going to Bubbleville because they had nowhere else to play. Army had their fourth game in a row. They got out to a big lead, then late in the game, Florida ended up just taking over and won the game. Now, BC, they got a kid, Trey Tabs, right? No, Winston Tabs? The hell's his name? Winston Tabs. He's really good. He's averaging like 17 points per game. BC got a transfer too. What the hell's his name? Whatever. But I've watched them. This is going to be their fourth game. Their schedule's been tough, Dan. St. John's, right? Villanova, and who was their first game against?
And you're missing the URI.
URI that they beat. Yeah. That they beat, exactly. So, to me, the more battle-tested team is BC. Florida, to me, though, should be an SEC top contender. We know what Kentucky is. The line is interesting. What is it? 6.5, 5.5 at some points. Yeah. I kind of like Florida in the spot only for the reason that I think that there might be some love for BC from the teams that they played and the way that they played. I'd take a look at the total, and the over might be a play here tonight, just for the simple fact that this is going to be Florida's like second game. They're going to feel much better about it. And BC's put up big points. So 139 right now. You just got to get 70 on both sides, or maybe 75, 70, something to that degree. But I just think maybe the over is the play in this one. But I think BC's getting a lot of love at 5.5. It's gone from 7 to 5.5. I lean over in that game.
Yeah, so I disagree with the total. I lean under in that game. I look at it the exact opposite. I see a BC put up some fat numbers against, St. John's, but against a better defensive team like URI, they scored 69. Versus a better defensive team in Villanova, they put up 67. I'd say that's more in line with what you can expect for them. The offensive output tonight, the 60 to 67 type range versus a good defensive Florida team. Again, Army. I know the Army was like a 24-point dog or something, and I was on Army against Florida. That is a ridiculous line. It was one of the worst lines of the year. I thought someone was out or something. It's the reason I didn't give it out. I thought someone might be out. I didn't understand it. Army is going to be a very, very good competitive team in that Patriot League this year. They are. I mean, they're much deeper. They're much better. There's people talking about them possibly winning the Patriot League this year, and so, Florida struggled in the first half without a doubt. And, Army, I think, had the lead at half. I'm pretty sure Florida, came back and won that by like 7 or 8. But it was a weird line. I didn't understand it at all. I do think that we're probably going to be overvaluing BC based their gameplay based on, Villanova, that good win versus URI, which looks better after last night's victory by URI. And then the St. John's loss. I think that this is going to be a BC team. If they need to win by playing defense, all right? They need to win by playing defense, playing rebounding. I do worry about that with Florida tonight. I think Florida probably pulls away late. Not something I'm going to play yet, but definitely a game I have my eye on. Might be looking for a second half in that one to kind of see what the first half is like. And in that 10 o'clock game, Arizona State, Cal, this is going to be a really interesting game. I'm not going to play anything in this one. Maybe if you find something great in the second half, you got to play it. But Arizona State lost to Nova. Other than that, they've looked ridiculous. I mean, that win versus URI, I know it was close, but it shouldn't have been. Houston Baptist, they didn't even try in that game. Cal lost to Oregon State to open the season in a game where I thought Cal should have won that game going away, and they could not hit a shot in that second half. They beat Nichols, who's a pretty good team, in that second half. And they beat him pretty good. I think Nichols, again, is underrated. They beat him pretty good. Cal, we're going to find out what Cal is in the next two games because they have Arizona State, UCLA, and then Pepperdine. So, I mean, this is going to be a tough run of the schedule. ASU, to me, man, I think Arizona State is going to I'm very interested to see because the line
Remy Martin, right?
Yeah, yep, Remy Martin. The line does not make a ton of sense to me. Very interested to see what goes on with Arizona State tonight. Josh Christopher is like their big time scorer. I know Remy Martin is the name there. They also
Hurley likes to run with that team, so I think I always look at the over in those type of situations. But go ahead.
Yeah, they also have that kid Alonzo Verge, who has been really
He's been good.
So
I've watched.
Yep.
Yeah, good point guard, swing guard, whatever he is.
Yeah, the kid to watch on Cal though, to me is that Matt Bradley kid. He's been basically their only player. He's been the problem is he's been terrible from three, but he is their leading scorer. If he doesn't get hot early, you can pretty much count Cal out of that game. I'm interested to see what happens there. It's in Berkeley, so that is going to be pretty interesting to me to kind of see what happens there. So I know there's some other games: Idaho, Sac State, Montana, Southern Utah, Texas Southern, St. Mary. St. Mary is obviously a bigger draw because they're a game. We only have a limited amount of time, so I don't want to get too into those. But I do think that it's interesting to look at these games, and obviously the 7:00 St. Francis Liberty and North Carolina A&T and Citadel. Again, games that I will be paying attention to later on tonight, kind of going through box scores and shit.
BC Interruption. I'm sure you know who they are. They're like these like follow BC like crazy, whatever. They like Florida to win 88-79. They do like they do it for every sport. They're pretty unbiased. So, but again, I lean over in that one, Dan. I just national television, Florida's second game, BC's trying to show. I just feel like 139 is low in that one, but we'll see because BC's put up high numbers. So
yeah, I was going to say, and Florida's defense was significantly better in the second half. I don't think that, I think very similar to Army, BC is going to have to, is going to have to find different ways to score. So we're going to find out what happens there. I'm not going to go crazy about the total there. I do lean the under in Florida again. Nothing for me in that one yet. I have one play tonight so far, and that's it.
I think we both lean Florida for sure in that one, even though BC's been a good competitor. I'm looking at tomorrow's schedule, 11 a.m. baby. Winthrop, they take on Duquesne, and then Louisville goes against UNC Greensboro. We'll see a little Stony Brook Fairfield action, and then Creighton's going to play Kennesaw. Michigan State plays Detroit Mercy. Holy shit. What else? I'm trying to see if we get a good one here tomorrow. Tulsa, Texas, Arlington. Ooh, Virginia, Kent State. Virginia's minus 19. They got upset already this year. Total's 127. One thing I've noticed about Virginia, dude, they score a little bit more this year, and I think they got one of those Hauser brothers or whatever. Remember the guys from Marquette?
Yep. Yeah. No, their offense is marketably better than it was a couple years ago. So you're actually going to be able to take advantage of those low totals. I was on the over their first game. I just think that you're going to be able to take advantage of those low totals. Now, again, if they struggle offensively like they did versus the Dons in San Fran, they're fucked. Defensively, they're still very good, but they're not as elite. They don't have the switching capability that they've had in the past. I still think they're going to be a very competitive team in the ACC, but offensively, they have to be better. Sam Hauser is the kid you're talking about, Joe. He has to score for them. He's only averaging like 13, 14 points a game, but
he went off last game though.
Yeah, he did, and he has to score for them. He has to hit from three, and he has to light it up. I will say that, early on, I do think you're going to be able to take advantage of some of those low totals on Virginia. I think you're going to end up seeing some overs. So that Kent State game, especially with the way they played their first game. Now, again, I don't know much about the team they played. It was, I think, Division II is Point Park. But again, 90 points, in a college basketball game should be something. It's hard to play. Again, it's hard to really take information from that game. But I am interested to see. I think you'll probably be able to get some good value on the totals early on Virginia, because again, the common conception is they can't score. And again, it's not like they're a world-beating offensive team this year, but they're better. They're better than they have been in the past.
Yeah. So I don't know much about Valpo this year. I know they're 0-2, but I watched Purdue play 3 times, dude. They have a 7'3" dude in the middle. And then their backup center is actually, to me, I think he's just more polished. They just got to get this kid to play. And then they got number 55. I wish I could remember these kids' names. who's a lights out 3-point shooter. Purdue can put up points. They also play good defense. I see 16 and a half, and I'm like, I just don't know much about Valpo this year. All I can tell you is they're 0-2, they're 0-1 on the road, 0-1 against the spread so far. But I have watched Purdue. They've looked good. They lost one game. Who was that to? I forget.
They lost to Clemson, and that game was not particularly close.
Clemson was a dog. Clemson was a dog in that, and I watched Purdue in the last game. Who the hell did they play?
Yeah, the massive kid you're talking about is Zach Edey.
Yes.
Yeah. So listen, that kid he's super raw. He's a freshman. He's one of those kids where he's going to come in and score just because of his size. It's going to be hard to defend him early on. I'm interested to see if he actually develops into something because he has the size to be very competitive in the game. And, Valpo was really bad that UIC game. I thought that they would win that game. I was very close to betting their side. It was like a one or 2 point spread. I was very close to betting them. Valpo may be down this year. I do think that SIUE game on the 9th, which is in almost basically a week, is going to be a good test of where they are because I think they're a little bit up this year. Edwardsville is going to be up. And so I do think that that's going to be a game where you say, what can they do against a mid-leveling team like Edwardsville? If they can't beat them, look out. Valpo may be on the massive decline. Again, they're in the valley. So, there are some good teams. They have to play Drake. Illinois State is always competitive. Bradley is competitive. Evansville was not good last night, but usually is competitive. In Northern Illinois, you've seen them in the dance. You've seen them, how they play and everything. Purdue might blow them the fuck out tomorrow night. We'll see what the spread is. I'm interested to see.
16 and a half. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah.
Here's one of the games of the day. Wisconsin Marquette. I thought Marquette was down this year. They lose Howard. They lose both those brothers as well. And I forget who I took them against. Who'd they play last? Oh, Jesus Christ. But Steve Woj is now the coach of
Okay, stay right. You're talking about the
yeah. I heard so from what I've gathered is that they're still pretty decent. I watched who is it? Last year I watched Wisconsin beat Marquette. And I'm just trying to think. I can't remember who. All I'm trying to say here is Wisconsin should win this game. Like I know it's kind of like a close inner city, state battle. I think Wisconsin should win this game. I feel like Marquette's down this year, but watched them the other night. They played okay, but I feel like they lost a ton of talent.
Again, I think. OK State has Cade Cunningham. When Cade takes over a game, it's hard to really say, okay. Again, he didn't take over, but he was good. 15 and 6 is definitely nothing to seize at, for a college player. He's probably going to be a top 2 to 3 NBA pick, probably if not the number 1 pick. I think he probably should be the number 1 pick, but we'll see what happens. Here's my problem with Wisconsin. They haven't really played anyone. And that Arkansas Pine Bluff game, I thought that they struggled a bit at times. I know they scored 92 points, and I still thought they struggled a bit. I thought they were much better in the Green Bay game, much better. And I thought Marquette actually played Pine Bluff far better than they did. I think they pretty much scored like the same amount of points. It was like 100 or 90, whatever. We're just splitting hairs there. But again, I thought Marquette played the better game. And a common opponent, again, I thought Marquette was better versus EIU as well. I thought they were significantly better than Wisconsin. I know that they lost, obviously Marcus Howard from last year. That's a huge loss for them. The Hauser Bros. I know people, you mentioned that before. I don't know how down Marquette is. Oklahoma State's still a good team. Wisconsin's going to be a tough matchup for them. I'm really interested to see what Marquette team we see tomorrow.
And then well, I guess I don't know if you really consider them big time, but yeah, just the number 7 team in the country only getting 3.5 going on the road. Something to look at. I heard I haven't watched Miami yet, but I've heard really good things about them so far this year.
I have not seen them yet either. They only played one game, so they beat North Florida.
Auburn played South Alabama, and then Minnesota, North Dakota, and then a couple of good ones late. Oregon Seton Hall, like
I knew you were going to want to talk about this one.
Oregon has to bounce back. They have to, but not Shmimasvili. What the hell's the guy's name on Seton Hall there? The big dude. Oh my god.
Like Maku Mashvali or whatever his name
not
is.
Mashvali, not Shmimasvili. That's Illinois.
Yes.
This is a good game. I think Oregon should win. They did not look good yesterday, but they came back. They hustled back. They need to look inside. They don't have the team that they did a year ago. I think Pritchard's going to be a huge loss for them personally. But, watching them last night, Missouri got out to a huge lead. Every time they got it to 8 or 7, Missouri came right back with a double-digit lead. Now, Seton Hall, though, was battle-tested. They lost to you. Oregon should win this game. They should. The thing is, I don't know if I want to back them right now. I don't know if I do.
I mean, here's the thing about Seton. That first game versus Louisville, I felt they were prepped for that game. They looked good. I did not watch any of the Iona game. Obviously they lost to Louisville by a point. Watching the URI game, I thought that URI was being undervalued in the spot last night. I think that URI is still a pretty good team and that people are just super down on them because it's Rhode Island and they're not Providence. I'm not super high on Seton Hall this year. I'm not. And again, I know it's, that'll probably come back to bite me because I know the Big East, yada, yada, yada bullshit. I'm not super high on them this year. But I think that they're a team, Joe, that's going to get up for the big games. Oregon's going to be a huge fucking game for them. They might go down against Penn State the next day or 2 days later, but the Oregon game they should be up for. Oregon, it's one game versus Missouri. Missouri was locked in. They played really well. I wish we had seen Oregon play that Eastern Washington team because I think Eastern Washington is better than I thought, very clearly. That's not a massive surprise, but yeah, this is a game I think I have to stay away from, Joe. I just think you have to stay away from this game. Don't know.
Maybe a second half. I don't think you know what you're going to get out of Oregon. I think Seton Hall is going to come to play.
Probably. I mean, again, that's always the hope, right? The hope is that you end up, seeing a Seton Hall kind of respond. And again, Seton was, really, really good. In that opening game versus Louisville. I always try and think about the fact that, it's fucking Seton Hall. They should be good every year, yada, yada, yada. I still worry about a team like that, man. I do.
All right. College basketball. I got my eye on this Utah game. I was going to say Utah's running away with it now. Man, I've watched Washington. They're not good, dude.
No,
what happened to them? Like, they used to be such a talented team, even last year, right? Even when they had Markel Fultz, they were this talented team that just late in games, man. I would think Utah would run away with that one later on.
I mean, it's funny, Joe. Like I watched them versus Baylor, and I was like, okay, well they're bad. Like they lose to Baylor. Everyone loses to Baylor. They had a shit game, opening game, whatever. UCR, holy shit. I mean, Riverside is not a good team, Joe. That's not a team that should be fucking spanking Washington by 15. I think Washington was like a 10.5 point favorite in that game. You lose by 15 to UCR. Look the fuck out. This is a team that has the chance to be real bad. I know Utah was only laying 7 tonight. We'll see what the score is at half, but that might be if you see a big second half line, look the fuck out. So that's the way I would look at that one. Washington has a chance to be really bad. I'm surprised how well Tennessee Tech is holding steady versus Northern Kentucky right now. I thought Northern Kentucky might pull away against this Tennessee Tech team who has struggled early on, but they're holding steady right now. They are. And I know that they held steady versus Xavier and Chattanooga the last 2 games before falling apart. But, right now looking to score 32-all, it's been impressive.
Yeah. All right, let's kick it over to college football. We want to take a minute here to mark the tape, or are we good?
Let's take a 3-second break. How about that? Can we do that?
All right, it's the DraftKings over-under show. All right, I'm going to put the new banner up here. 100th episode. Woo! Woo! North Texas went up 14-7. There's a college football game tonight. should we fade Utah State considering the quarterback situation, what's happening at that school, and the fact that Air Force is a better offense? Utah State's at home. Dan, I really haven't looked into it, but I those Twitter people, that those people who give out picks on Twitter, man, they're all on Air Force tonight. So you know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, Air Force is definitely the big public fave side, right? That's going to be the big public side tonight that everyone's riding and yada 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 yada. Listen, Utah State has to bounce back and have a good game eventually, right? Don't we think that Air Force has, despite the fact that they started off the season very well, they're 1-2 since, and I mean their win is against New Mexico. I guess New Mexico and Utah State are comparable, I guess. Utah State beat them 41-27, so I'd say that they're probably a tad bit better than New Mexico. I think 13.
New Mexico ran for over 200 yards against Utah State. What do you think Air Force is going to do?
I mean, yeah, I get that, but again, you're expecting the triple option compared to a mobile quarterback. It's a bit of a different type of preparation. I don't really love this game whatsoever. I mean, it's not a game I'm going to watch or really have any interest in, but I do think that Air Force should win. I would not be shocked if Utah State backdoors this bitch.
How about an over 54? Oh, 51. Sorry.
51 and
my only thing is I feel like Air Force is going to hold the ball.
Yeah, I was going to say I think this I could easily see this being an under game. It's not something I'm confident in either way.
See, I can see a 34-20 victory for Air Force with the potential of a backdoor cover. That scares me. And Utah State, I don't even know if their quarterback's back. I'm not sure. Not trying that one. And then, Dan, we're going to go over Saturday's games. We'll see if there's any big. Oh, well, there's one big one, but we'll get to that in a minute. But this is all right. So the game that we're going to discuss right now, I was at an AEW event last year at Boston University, watching this game on my phone because I had some action on it, and I had App State, and they're still a 2.5 point favorite against ULL. And it was a tight game. It stayed under the total, and App State ended up pulling out the win. And I don't know, ULL 8-1, App State 7-2. So I will say this: App State's lost to Marshall and Coastal Carolina. ULL has lost to who?
Coastal.
So common opponent loss. App State at home. I think ULL has the better offense. I think Appalachian State has the better defense. And I want to look up a previous. I mentioned that one previous matchup from last year. I just want to get some trends in this series. Okay, road team 6-2, the under 6-2 last 8 meetings. So, I mean, ULL's ranked, dude, right? I mean, Appalachian State's kind of having a down year. This is a huge game for App State. They need it, but it's even bigger for ULL, right? I mean, they still have a chance at the Sun Belt, right?
Yes, they do, and especially they play. I mean, they're scheduled to play Coastal the 19th, I believe, in the Sun Belt Championship show.
So they don't need this game. Yeah,
they don't need this game. But what I will say is, this is a pride game, Joe. I mean, it's not like the Coastal game isn't for 2 weeks. So I mean, if you're the Raging Cajuns, I mean, maybe there's times you're trying not to get injured, but at the same time, like, you've already clinched your side of the Sun Belt. I will say, though, technically, I don't think Coastal has clinched their side. I think App State still has a chance somehow. I don't know how that works. But I think that that they, maybe I'm wrong about that. I could easily be. But either way, this is a game where where App State is going to be looking for, I don't know, a little bit of nastiness. I mean, 7-2, people are kind of down on them this year, which is surprising because they haven't been bad. I mean, losing the Marshall, they did not play well that game. The Coastal Carolina game, 34-23 is a misleading score in that one. They played Coastal very tight, as did the Raging Cajuns. I mean, Coastal was, I think they lost to Coastal by 3. So either way, I mean, I think you got to look at this, Joe, and say you're right. And yes, you're right, Bill. Coastal and Louisiana have both clinched spots in the Sun Belt, obviously, because the Sun Belt Championship is scheduled. I'm a fucking idiot, so obviously,
I know. I led you down the wrong pipe.
Yeah, no, that was my fault. I was looking at something and see the Yankees. But I mean, look, the Raging Cajuns just beat Louisiana Monroe 70-20. Okay, they still give a fuck, and they're still playing really, really tough. I mean, you take a look at that game. The Monroe game should be a perfect example of how Louisiana's approached this season. They probably could have walked in, won that game without covering easily, and they put up 70 points. App State against Monroe, where they put up 31, and they probably walked into that one snoozing. The way I'm looking at this is, I doubt the Raging Cajuns are going to walk in that one and snooze to victory. This is a game I think that you need to enjoy. It opened at 2.5, which leads me to the dog always initially. Especially with the Raging Cajuns being, I think, the more talented offensive team. We've seen that throughout, most of this year. I know App State had a nice win versus Troy last time out, but I lean the Raging Cajuns. I do think under. There's definitely, probably the more public, but probably the right side. I just, I'm not touching it.
All right. I'm going to bet that game. I'm probably going to bet the under, because that's what I do in that series every year. I did it last year at work. So what's the total? The total is 51. Okay. Yeah, I'll probably bet the under in that one. I feel App State's defense is good, but man, does their offense stink. A couple of college football notes I think we should just bring up quickly. Michael Penix out for the year. It sucks for Indiana, man. They had a shot at a New Year's Six. One other game that I wanted to mention to you, Dan, I looked into this one a little bit. Texas A&M, who we know is 6-1 and right in the playoff picture. There was 7 this morning and 6.5 now at Auburn. I looked this up. Do you know that Auburn fucking owns this series? Owns it. The last time Texas A&M was favored, they were 14-point favorites, Johnny Manziel, and they won fucking huge. So here they are, a favorite again. If history tells us when they're a favorite, they win big. Dude, how does Texas A&M not beat Auburn after Auburn gets fucking spanked by Alabama? And this is like everything for A&M, This is like, let's beat up on an SEC team that we can get after because we know that they struggle. Only thing, Auburn at home. The only thing that gets me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Auburn has been what? How good do we actually think Auburn is?
No, we don't. We've discussed this. All right, being realistic. They've been bailed out of a couple of games, at least 2 games. They're 5-3. They could easily be 3-5.
Okay. That's kind of my point, is they are super, super fucking fraudulent, right? I mean, I think that we can agree there.
And their defense is getting better, though the defense isn't what Auburn's defense ever should be considered.
I agree with that. I do. I do agree with that. I just think that that team is so fucking fraudulent, dude. Like, man, I cannot back. I just can't back them. I can't do it. Now, this is not a game. Would I be shocked if A&M loses the game? No, because A&M is, one of those teams where I feel like any sort of week Kellen Mond could just absolutely fucking blow, and all of a sudden, it's I don't know. It's back to the old days of Kellen Mond where he's throwing 4 interceptions a game and Texas A&M's getting blown out. I know that hasn't been the case this year, and they've been much better. I can't back Auburn in this spot because they're such a fraudulent fucking team.
To me, it's Texas A&M or nothing.
Yeah,
that's it for me. Like, if I was going to place a bet on this one, it's Texas A&M, and I walk away.
I think to me,
it's a nooner too.
I think to me it's the under, and I don't feel confident in that either. But I think to me it's an under. So it is what it is. By the way, I have I got to tell you something. I forgot to tell you this when you were talking about Vegas Dave. Do you know that Vegas Dave is going to open a OnlyFans account?
Yeah,
I'm not kidding. I'm dead serious.
but imagine if he got like his girl on there. Oh my god.
Well, so Holly Saunders is doing a OnlyFans esque
Oh,
thing too. But Vegas Dave is doing that, so he's going to be giving out all of his plays and everything via fucking OnlyFans.
No, listen, I hate the guy. He's a scumbag. He's a degenerate. He's a dickhead. He's a lowlife. He sucks at everything. He sucks at sucking at life. Like he's puke. He's vomit. He's terrible. He's making so much money, and it's like he's laughing at all of us. And it's just that, like, it's like I want to strangle the guy because of that. You know what I mean? It's like he's the worst human in the world, but he's making money, and I don't know why anybody gives him money. Oh, anyways, I like money. All right, some other games just to go over here. Oh my god, I hope fucking Iowa destroys Illinois. That'd be great. How about West Virginia, Iowa State? Now it's at Iowa State. Iowa State's been hot.
They have been. They absolutely have been the last few weeks. And we probably need to go back to that 12 o'clock window because there's some good games that we missed. But we'll start with the Iowa State game. The fact that West Virginia's not even getting 7 is interesting. The fact that Iowa State's not even laying 7 is interesting to me in Ames. Versus a team that has been historically much better in Morgantown than they have been on the road. I think Jared Doege has been good, not great this year, but at times he and that West Virginia team have done exactly what they've needed to kind of win those games. My question comes, what is Iowa State going to do? Are they planning on running the ball this game after that Texas win? I mean, that's a huge win. To win this game, I believe that they're in the Big 12 championship, Joe. Is that correct?
They beat Texas last week. Yeah. Yep.
So I believe that they're in with a win. So this is going to be an important game for them. West Virginia to me is one of those teams where, I actually think that Iowa State is in no matter what. Did Iowa State lose to Oklahoma or Oklahoma State? I think they lost Oklahoma State, but they beat Oklahoma, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's gonna be some interesting shit on the top of that conference. I don't know. This is a game I'm interested to see how Iowa State approaches it from an offensive perspective because West Virginia is gonna do dink and dunk. They're gonna try and be conservative with the football. They're going to try and beat Iowa State, but you're not going to beat Iowa State scoring 30, so you're going to need to play good defense. West Virginia's defense has been, above average, if not solid this year, in my opinion. I think everyone's going to be on the under in this one. I do. I think this is going to be a huge public under, and it probably ends up going over. I don't want to be on either one of those sides, to be perfectly honest with you, but the fact that it's not 7, Joe, it opened 7 and went down to 6.5 immediately. The fact that it hasn't gone back up to 7 is certainly interesting. And I think that the Sharps will definitely take a 7. If you see a 7.5 during game day, maybe this is a game you have to take. It's not something I'm going to give out right now, but it's one that I think I would look at.
All right, cool. And then I know we're going to talk about a bunch of games on Saturday. PSU, Rutgers, Memphis, Tulane, which I think some people will love. OSU should fucking smoke Michigan State. They should. Michigan State's offense stinks so bad that OSU should crush them. That's my opinion on that one. And then Texas Tech, Kansas. Whoa.
How about Oklahoma State, TCU?
Yeah. I think Oklahoma State is a better defense. I think they're a better team. TCU getting 1 at home, huh?
It is a weird fucking line. That is for sure. And again, we've seen these lines be unsuccessful at points and very successful at others. Oklahoma State is getting a lot of money and giving 1 or 2 to TCU, which is,
check out this trend. Underdog is 5-0, last 5 in the series.
I mean, that's the way I probably end up seeing this one. I mean, TCU again. I know they're 4-4, but my God, it's TCU is a good team in the Big 12. Like I do, I think that the quarterback there, Duggan, is really really underrated, and I think that Oklahoma State is probably a bit overrated. That Oklahoma game really really brought them down a notch. I mean, that was a fucking wake up call. Just to get the shit kicked out of them by Oklahoma. I'm interested to see. I mean, again, they gave up 44 to Texas Tech last week. Maybe they're just on a downtrend. I mean, their last 4 games, or 5 games, have really been thoroughly. I'm sorry, 4 games. Yeah, 4 games. Texas, Kansas State, Oklahoma, Texas Tech have been thoroughly unimpressive. Barely beating Kansas State on the road, barely holding on versus Texas Tech, losing to Texas and getting blown out by Oklahoma. Thoroughly unimpressed by Oklahoma State in those games. Chubb Hubbard is not playing this game as well. Just for those wondering. And this is a game I can see Oklahoma State dropping. They're second in the Big 12. I know that. I think technically they're third in the Big 12 because Oklahoma has the head-to-head matchup on them. So I think I believe they beat Iowa State. So if Iowa State loses and Oklahoma State wins, then I think it creates like some sort of Big 12 bullshit at the top. I don't know who gets it, and I don't know the tiebreakers and whatever. But what I do know is I can see TCU fucking beating this team, and they just haven't been good the last 4 games at all. There's nothing to write home about. Not very impressive. Barely beating Texas Tech. I know that they've been okay offensively, but or at least they were versus Texas Tech. But really, just in general, not really impressive. They're just not.
All right, Dan, I don't want to be here all night, so let's just get right to it. BYU and Coastal are going to fucking play. The line's 10. One's 9-0, the other's 9-0. I like BYU to win the game. I like them to win the game. I think BYU's just a better all-around team. Coastal is definitely more battle-tested. There's no doubt about that. Coastal's my team. I love Coastal. That's my team. But I've loved BYU all year, and I've watched more BYU than Coastal, and I've watched a lot of Coastal. Just from a guy who's watched everything, I think BYU wins the game by a touchdown. 10 is a lot.
Yeah, I don't really understand the spread. I'm gonna kind of say the same thing I said earlier in the season. BYU has played 2-3 real teams: Troy, Houston, Boise State.
They came back to beat Houston, and Boise was out their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, Boise was on their 3rd quarterback by the end of the game. Troy was impressive when I give them. I think you have to give them credit for the Troy win. Houston, they were losing that game, and they came back and they beat them. But as you said, it was whatever. Coastal to me has been the most dominant team in the Sun Belt. I don't think it's very close. I mean, they had the close call versus Lafayette, but other than that, it hasn't been close in any game. They beat Kansas to open the season. They beat Campbell going away. They crush Arkansas State. They beat Lafayette. They beat Georgia Southern with a backup quarterback by 2 touchdowns. They beat Georgia State the next week by 51. They beat South Alabama, no problem. They beat App State again. That game was closer, but still, Coastal won that game, and they crushed Texas State last week when I was on Texas State, and I thought they were gonna, in sandwich game, I thought they were gonna kind of, bullshit it in. Nope. So to me, I mean, this is the Super Bowl for them. If Coastal loses this game, then there's a serious problem. It's a serious victory for BYU, and then you'll have some legitimacy for getting the New Year's Six, as you say. If Coastal wins this game, Joe, what happens now?
Ooh, that's a good one. They still have to win the Sun Belt, though. To get any consideration, they have to win the Sun Belt. Coastal can win this game. BYU is a scheme type team. I've watched a lot of BYU. I think their offense clicks. I think Zach Wilson's superior. I think McCall's great too. I really do. I think BYU's defense is slightly better, even though I think Coastal's a more defensive team. I'm just calling it like it is. I think BYU wins by a touchdown. I'm not betting Coastal Carolina plus the 10 or anything. It's just, to me, I think BYU is just it's like their year, and I think Zach Wilson's having one of these, I'm ready for the draft type years. But who knows, man? They can get smacked in the mouth by a team that they've never seen. That's going to be their toughest opponent. And dude, they struggled against Houston, a team that can score. So we know Coastal can score, right? They average 37 points a game. So I'm gonna, Dan, at 5:30 on Saturday, I'm gonna be fucking lubed up, like in my underwear. Like I'm gonna be like, Allison Chains rooster on in the background with a Zach Wilson head fucking bandana on. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what I'm gonna do on Saturday at 5:30, but it's gonna be a hell of a game, and I think BYU's the better team. But I'd love to see Coastal knock it off. To your point, it would fuck everything up. Everything. It'd be great.
I'm rooting for Coastal. Straight up rooting for that team. I want them to win. I want them to beat BYU. I like Zach Wilson a lot. I think he's a really, really, really good quarterback. But I love fucking Colston. I love this team. I think BYU is still a little bit fraudulent. They really haven't played anyone. This is, to me, going to be their first real game.
It's all legit on BYU. Everything you say is completely legit. Everything.
Yep.
Everything you say is legit about fucking, 10? See, I didn't think 10. I did. Dude, I was thinking 4.5 at the beginning, and then I'm like, BYU might get a little love, so maybe a touchdown. I saw 9 inside 10. It opened at fucking 10. And then right away, I'm like, oh, man, they think BYU's either going to blow them out or they're not giving fucking Coastal Carolina enough credit. It's going to be a hell of a game. It is. It's going to be a hell of a game.
This is what I want to do Saturday. I'm going over my buddies. We're grilling steaks, whatever. I already told him. I said, I know I have to leave at like fucking 8 o'clock, whatever. I said 5:30 BYU Coastal Carolina. I'm not fucking going anywhere. Like we're doing, we're doing some stone crab. We're doing some fucking some Denvers, some hangers. We're doing a big ass Wagyu tomahawk and shit. Like we got everything ready for Saturday, Joe.
Is that jargon speak?
Meat jargon. Meat. It's meat jargon. Meat jargon. Not gambling jargon. Dude, I'm fucking ready. This is the most exciting game for such a long time, and like I'm more pumped for this game than I am for Bama.
Well, dude, I was pumped for Liberty Coastal to begin with.
I mean, I know.
Now you got to throw BYU in the mix.
I know. It's just better. It's just better. By the way, looking at that Washington Utah second half line, Utah is a 3-point favorite in that second half. The total is 74. Say there were 69 points scored in the first half. Utah's up by 5. The way I'm looking at this, to me, is that what did Utah open at in this game?
It was the covering by, so Washington's covering by 2.5, 7.
Okay, so 7. All right, so the way I'm looking at this game,
I think the game goes over the total. So total's what, 135. So we're at 69, 79, 89, 99, 09, 19, 29, 39.
I'd say over. If you want something, I'd say over. It looks like it opened at 7.5 to me, which is kind of where I would expect it to be. Yeah,
really getting you here.
Yeah, this is one again. I normally stay off. Not something I normally play. I think if you like something, maybe the over. In the second half, I'd stay away. Again, the second half spread to me for the side says that they think that Utah is going to pull away, but again, it's not big enough. I'm looking at if you're give me a 4.5 there, I think I'd probably like it more than sitting at 3 in the second half. So I'm going to pass on that second half of that game.
So dude, Washington in the last game scored 20 points in the second half. I'm trying to see what they scored in the other Baylor game, just to see how they place. I told you they're fucking dogs, that team. 28. So They're not a high scoring second half team, Dan.
Yeah, that UCR game go. I mean, they were so bad that game. They were so bad.
I think the game goes over, but it's you still got another 5 points in there on a second half bet.
I think this is a game, a second half you stay away from. I looked at the Tennessee Tech Northern Kentucky game. I liked the under, but it was too low to play. And that UConn USC game and that Marshall Wright State game have just gotten underway. Again, if you missed it, UL Monroe La Tech under 140.5 is the play that Joe and I are on tonight in college basketball. If we see any second half plays that we really like, we'll give you. Joe, do you see anything you like?
Yeah, I'm going to look at the USC UConn game. I know Dan leans UConn. You've been off for a week without what's his name, a Coke tonight. I think the Mobley brothers are really good, and the only thing that this has been something that's been consistent, right? Was it Indiana loses outright one game, they come back the next game, they're a dog, they beat Stanford outright, even though Stanford looked good. You know what I mean? So the one thing with college hoops this year is you have to kind of fade the team that just came up. You know, like it's like the recency bias. It's really big in college basketball. So USC in this case would be the recency bias, where Connecticut's been off for a week. I just think the Mobley brothers are good. They have good size. I'm going to look at that at halftime, and we'll see. I want to know how UConn matches up. I'm going to put that game on in just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. All right, moving on in college football. As you can see, we're not going to touch on every game like we do most weeks. We've just decided there's just too many games to cover, and it feels like we're always ignoring the NFL. So we're going to kind of go on that again. I'm going to move to 3:30, Joe. We can bounce back and forth. If there's a game you guys really want us to cover in college football, please let us know. But I'm going to bounce back to that 3:30 window, Joe. Indiana, Wisconsin. Obviously Indiana, no Michael Penix. He's out for the year. So I mean, do you know where we're going with that one? Do you know?
Well, I'll just say this. Wisconsin was supposed to go with Cohen. They went with Mertz. Wisconsin's going to run the ball in Indiana. I don't know anything about the backup. I don't. Unfortunately, I can tell you that Indiana's played well on the road. But Wisconsin at home is a tough beast, man. But be careful. The total's 45. Last year, because the last time they played, Wisconsin won 45-17.
So this, I mean, the kid who's playing for Indiana is going to be sophomore Jack Tuttle. Yeah, he's going to be the kid. He has barely any experience.
He played at Utah.
He had 11 passes in 2019. He has 5 this year. I mean,
I remember that kid.
Very, very little experience, Joe. Very little. The way I'm looking at this game, man, I think you have to lean under, right? I think you have to lean under and say, well, I mean, what is Indiana going to score offensively? What are they going to be offensively without Penix? And I thought that Penix was the engine that ran that team. And I think that, I think without Penix, they're going to struggle. I mean, as I think, is not exactly a fucking shocker there. I don't think that's an absolute shock. I know Jack Cohn has been, looks like he is back. I don't know if he's going to play this week, Joe, but at least he's, he's been approved to play. He's been cleared to play. So that's going to be interesting as well. Look, this is in Bowie. It looks like that we got some scoring early in this UConn USC game. 20 points in the first 5 minutes already. So good pace for your over. To me, this is the type of game where I think Wisconsin probably pulls away and wins big. I know Indiana is going to be a public side. Even without Penix, I think they're going to be a public side. I think Wisconsin with Cohn or I'm blanking on their quarterback right now, Mertz. I think that they're going to be the side. I think that Wisconsin and the under probably correlated. Indiana without their starting quarterback, it's a huge fucking drop off from Penix to whoever it is next. I mean, I haven't seen Tuttle play, but unless Tuttle is, really, really, really fucking good for some reason, it's going to be a massive drop off. It is.
Okay, yeah, and I mentioned that West Virginia, Iowa, that's going to be a decent one at 3:30. I don't care about Hawaii, San Jose State. Hawaii, dude, they won last week. I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yep.
Fucking assholes.
Yeah, we were interested in that one. I told you I thought Hawaii was gonna pull that one. Didn't bet it. I don't think that Nevada hasn't played anyone. I'm just gonna keep saying that Nevada.
Yeah, that's 5-1. They're 5-1 now. So a couple of interesting games, and a couple of people asked about this one. Arizona, Colorado. I think Arizona sucks. I know they played USC tough. I watched them play last week. They blew. They blew. They were bad. UCLA took care of business. Colorado's 3-0, man. Going on the road, 7.5 points. I mean, I don't know. I do think Arizona stinks, though.
Yeah, see, I mean, the San Diego State win is a bit fraudulent. San Diego State lost their quarterback, and after that, they couldn't move the football at all. So, I mean, they scored 20 points against them. It wasn't like it was a great offensive output. I think Arizona is going to be that type of team where you're going to fade them all year until they finally cover a fucking game, which, again, they only have 2 games left on their schedule. So, I mean, is that this week? Is it finally the week that Colorado does the Colorado thing and kind of goes back and, regresses a little bit? They're at 7.5 right now. So, I mean, that's going to be an important number if you want the Arizona side. I've been impressed with Colorado, but not like uberly impressed. Again, you barely win versus UCLA. You have a good win versus Stanford, but again, not a great win. A 3-point win, a 6-point win versus UCLA, and a 10-point win versus San Diego State with mostly their backup quarterback. Colorado's 3-0, but I look at them and say, yeah, how good is that 3-0? Arizona was in that USC game. They were. I mean, they probably should have won that game. I know the common opponent, UCLA, does not look good, but at least, at least Colorado was home that game. I don't know. I really don't know. I think because Gunnell, I like Gunnell. I think he's going to be okay at Arizona. I do expect Colorado to trip up at some point. I mean, they're not.
They did last year. Remember, they started out fast and then right to shit.
Right, exactly. And this is. I mean, they beat Stanford on the road, but this is their second true road game. I can see them absolutely stumbling. I can see them losing this game outright. I really could.
I'll always fade Colorado State. I don't care who they are, what they are. I'm out on Steve Adazio, and San Diego State's a 7-point favorite at home. I hate Colorado State. Hate them. And just looking through, out on Oregon, they lose the Big 12, so Pac-12, so I don't care about them anymore. Don't care about Clemson. Ooh, yeah, Clemson's gonna. Remember they played Virginia last year and destroyed them in the ACC championship game. That was Virginia, but this is Virginia Tech. I think they'll do the same thing to them. Miami should fucking roll up on Duke. No big deal. Alabama, LSU. Woof.
We talked about how Alabama was going to demolish Auburn, and we thought it would somehow stay under the total. That game ended up going over.
No, it went under. I had 65, okay. So I went under.
Yeah, so,
I don't see how LSU can score. I don't.
I mean, this is going to be. I think LSU is going to score, dude. I do. I think LSU is going to score. I think this is like one of those years where like LSU is really down and like Bama kind of throws them a bone a little bit. I know that sounds really fucking crazy in college football.
They respect the coaches,
But like Saban has respect for Oregon and probably wants him to keep his job because he knows he can fucking beat him. And I know that sounds crazy, but it happens more than you would, with some of these college programs. And I would not be shocked if LSU scores, some points in this one, and I would be looking at that over. In fact, that's one of my favorite fucking plays this week, which is crazy, I know, because I've been so god awful in college football. Joe struggled in the NFL. I've been not good in the NFL, but I've been worse in college football, which is almost impossible to imagine. But I have been, and so whatever. I do. That game is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Joe, would you take Bama laying 30 points? 30.
Yeah.
I think LSU is going to backdoor it. I think they are. I think it'll be like a 55 to 27 game, something like that. It'll be all the Alabama backups. We saw the Alabama backups like struggled versus fucking Missouri. You know what I mean? So you can see them struggle versus LSU's, still some decent talent on that team. Not great, but decent. So I can see it happening.
Someone asked Florida, Tennessee. We talked about this, Dan. I just think Florida's going to coast to the SEC championship game, and whether they start so slow, they're such a good second half bet.
Yeah,
Nope. I would on Tennessee.
Florida did not cover the number last week, right? Am I correct on that one?
Ooh, I know I think they do. I think they scored like 20 something points second half. They lit it up second half. I'm not sure if they covered or not.
Yeah, I don't think they did. I'm gonna say the same thing here as I did there. I'm gonna go with no. I'm gonna go with Florida doesn't cover versus Tennessee, and Tennessee backdoors them.
Florida just needs to win.
Yes, yeah. So the spread I'm looking at for Florida last week was 25, won by 24. Now there, as our listener just said here, it ranged from 23.5 to 25. That is correct, but 23.5 and 24 were only available for a couple hours. Everything else was 25 and above. So I mean, the majority didn't cover. I'd say it's going to be the same thing. I'd say like Florida wins by like 15, 16, something like that. They're just like that team that like wins but doesn't like misses the number by a couple points every week.
Yeah.
It feels very consistent with them. It's Tennessee or nothing for me there, but no way am I taking fucking Guantanamo Bay or whoever the fuck is quarterbacking that team right now, because it feels like it changes every week. Who quarterbacked from the last week? Was it Guantanamo Bay? I think it was.
I can't even keep
up. It was Guantanamo Bay, and I think they put that Bailey kid in.
I gave up on them after week 2. It was like, see you later. Done.
There was a lot of hype on them this year. And again, they failed to live up to the hype, which again is consistent.
By the way, speaking of that, Mackenzie Milton is transferred out of UCF. The kid who broke his leg, star player from Hawaii. Where do you think he goes? I got two picks. One is Florida if Trask leaves, and then the other is Miami. When Derek King leaves. So the only other thing I could throw out there is maybe he goes back home to Hawaii. But you have any suggestions?
What about Oklahoma?
Oklahoma could be one, and then I'm thinking about this, but Nebraska needs a quarterback.
How old is Rattler? Rattler's not a senior.
No, Rattler's like a true freshman. He's not going.
You're right. Yeah, it's not fucking Oklahoma.
But you know what I mean. Most guys who go there are transfer. I get.
My guess is he probably goes to a school like Florida. He's in UCF already.
I think Miami's probably the spot.
Miami or Florida. I mean, replacing Trask, that offense kind of fits what he does, right?
Yep.
I mean, I could absolutely see him.
And then I only say Hawaii because of these, from there. Yeah. But Nebraska needs a quarterback, and they could use him. I just thought that was a interesting transfer because that kid had talent. He was projecting definitely go to the NFL, and then
I agree with that. It's kind of sad what happened to him. I am rooting for the kid.
A couple of other games. I think Houston SMU got postponed. It just hasn't updated yet. And then UCLA. I know DTR got hurt. So I don't know if he's playing. And it's Arizona State's second game.
I believe Chase Griffin is playing for them this week.
I watched him. He came up lame at the end of the Arizona game last week. So UCLA's been good, dude. They got hot. They started slow. They've gotten hot. But dude, Herm Edwards is a covering machine, man. Guy covers. They've had time. I think UCLA is going to be without their quarterback. I think this is a good spot for ASU.
Talk to me about what you think of the excuse me, I'm blanking on the BC Virginia game, because I got a few questions about this one this week.
So I mentioned this last week to you, but I think BC is going all in to win both games. That was their goal this year. The last time they played Virginia, they fucking smoked them. But can they stop the run? It seems to be the question, right? Not to mention Bronco Mendenhall always has that team ready to go. The one thing I'll tell you about Virginia, though, dude, they give up 300 yards per game through the air. So, Djokovic's probably going to throw all over them. So but it's senior day. It's all that intact there for Virginia. And what else did I see here about Virginia? They have a 3-game winning streak. They've only played twice since Halloween. They got postponed last week due to COVID.
You mean Florida State postponed because Florida State doesn't play football anymore. So, I'm interested in that game. I
own the series. One last 6 in the series.
BC has been impressive to me this year, dude. I was not expecting a 6-4 year from them. I was expecting to be down. Djokovic has been so much better than I expected, even though he was a transfer from Notre Dame. I mean, there are times I look at him and say, man, he's fucking better than Ian Book. Like, I do look at them and say, man, maybe Notre Dame made a mistake. And obviously, yeah, I mean, again, obviously Book has been, really good this year, and they beat Clemson. And so, that's not really something you can really stand on. But, Djokovic looks like he could be a fucking, a player, man. And, what that Ohio State coach, I'm blanking on the head coach's name there. Day, is that his name? Hapley, yeah, sorry, Hapley. He has been very, very impressive with what he's done with that BC team. Defensively, they have some work to do, and that's not really a surprise, especially when you kind of come into the season and you're going with basically all new ball players. So that's not really a shocker. I just I'm impressed. I really am impressed by what they've done so far, and I'm interested to see what else goes on throughout the year. I really am. I think it's going to be a very, very impressive program that this guy can build, especially with Djokovic at the helm. So again, I don't really have a great feel on this game this week, but I'm high on BC going into next year.
So pissed I didn't take Wright State. Oh, I wanted them bad.
Yeah, I told you I like Wright State. Again, it's early though. I mean, it's college basketball, man. I've seen some fucking leads blown. I'm pissed I didn't take that or give out that Tennessee Tech Northern Kentucky second half under. That looks like it's going decently well. Utah's leading by 4 in that second half, so they're covering that, and they have 20 points in the first 5 minutes, so that looks like it's trending over as well.
And UConn's winning as well.
Yeah, UConn's. I mean, that game's close. It's 21-17. Way too close to call. Still early, but again, I told you I thought UConn was still being undervalued there, and I lean that way. The 8:00 game is going to kick off somewhat soon. Joe, speaking of 8:00, we touched on some college football. Why don't we take a 5-second break here and then hit on the NFL?
You got it. All right, we're back here over under 985. Just looking at the NFL off the bat. I'm looking at it now, Dan, as who are underdogs that stand out right off the bat. And I'll just go through a quick list and we can talk about them. Jacksonville getting double digits stands out to me. Atlanta 3 at home versus a New Orleans team without a quarterback stands out to me. Houston getting 3.5 the way they've been playing at home stands out to me. Cincinnati getting double digits again stands out to me. Would you back the Jets against Vegas this week? I don't know. How about the Giants getting 10 from Seattle? I'm just looking at underdogs. Arizona at home. Philly versus Green Bay, considering all the love for Green Bay, right? The Patriots are a straight up pick 'em. Denver, double-digit underdogs. Washington, 8.5-point dogs. San Fran off a straight-up win is going to be playing in Arizona versus Buffalo, 2.5-point dogs. And then Dallas. So I'm looking at dogs right away. The two I talked about this morning was Atlanta versus New Orleans. I know New Orleans is a fucking wagon right now. It's hard to fade them. They're 3-point favorites. Why are they only 3-point favorites? Can Taysom Hill get into a shootout with Matt Ryan? I might take the dice at 3.5 Atlanta this week, Dan.
So I have some stats for you that I think are interesting, and the way that I've been approaching things the last few weeks to try and change up my NFL approach.
Oh, and I'm changing. I'm off the trends. I'll give you the trends. They don't mean shit.
Yeah, they don't. And as I would tell you, I don't think trends have ever really mattered to me, but I think in certain cases, certain cases they can, but in general, I don't think they matter much. This is actually more about teasers, and I talked about the Wong teaser, the Patriots being a good Wong tease side last week, right, Joe? I know that was a funny joke because Andy Wong, but in general, happy birthday, Mr. Wong. I got to text him, by the way. But just in general, I've been approaching it from more of a maybe I just need a tease, and that's not my angle. You guys know how much I hate teasers, so I've been very careful. Here are some stats on teasers this week, Joe. Last week, teasers for underdogs went 15-0-1. If you teased an underdog last week up, underdogs covered at a 15-0-1 rate, the best showing for underdogs since they went 14-0 in week 9. Teasing up underdogs between 7.5 and 10 went 4-0, are now 23-1 on the season. 23-1 if you get a dog between 7.5 and 10 and tease it up. Unbelievable. Teasing down favorites of 7.5 or more went 5-0 in the week and now are 20-0 in the last 7 weeks. Basically saying, if you find a team that is that is laying 7.5 or 10, tease them up, they're 23-1 on the season in those spots. Teasing down favorites of 7.5 or more, 5-0 last week, and are now 20-0 in those spots. Teasing over totals of 44 or less has been rare in recent weeks, but went 2-0 in the season, 33-2. So those unders that have been hitting, very close. There's barely been some low scoring games this year. And teasing overs went 14-2 last week for its best week since week 9. Basically, tease dogs between 7.5 and 10 points. Tease up dogs between 7.5 and 10 points. Tease down favorites 7.5 or greater, and tease totals of 44 or less up, or sorry, tease them down. You'll crush it. It's been ridiculous. I've been approaching it, trying to do some research, obviously, on it. So that's how I'm going to approach it again this week as well. Looking at some teaser sides. To me, I mean, teasing Miami, obviously down, sounds like a great idea. Teasing Las Vegas down, sounds like a really good idea. Teasing Seattle down, teasing Green Bay down. Those all sound like good ideas. And then teasing, teams like the Giants up, teasing teams like the Eagles up.
What about the Steelers?
So the Steelers
I'm at 1.5, right? Or 2.5.
So the Steelers last week, I believe. Let me.
They didn't. They would have covered. Yeah. The under would have hit, and the Steelers would have covered. Yep.
So listen again.
And not the over on a teaser. The under is what I mean.
Yep. So the teasing, the low totals and teasing them lower for an over has worked. Teasing dogs between 7.5 and 10 has worked, and teasing favorites is 7.5 or more has worked.
So what's weird about that, Dan, is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games this week that are basically 3 to 5 point favorites. Everything else leans right into what you're talking about.
Yep. So there's going to be some.
So those 5 games you stay off of, or you go with a total. No, you stay off of and you go with the other ones.
Yep.
Like Cincinnati down to 7 under 57 or something.
Yep. And basically, yep. So you tease up like Cincy, you would tease up Jacksonville, you would tease up the Jets, you would tease up the Giants, you would tease up the Eagles, and you would tease up the Broncos. Oh, so you wouldn't tease up the Broncos a lot. And you would tease up the Redskins. The rest of them, the other favorites on the other side, you would tease down. So you would tease down the Raiders to 2.5, tease down the Broncos to 5.5. The Dolphins to 5.5. Tease down the Seahawks there, tease down the Packers. Now again, you get the picture. I'm not going to be the guy that does this every single week or whatever and follows it every single game. I just can't do that. But I think that this is a good trend that should give you a good idea of what has been successful so far in the season. So hopefully that works, for you guys.
Mm-hmm. One team I'm fading over the next couple of weeks is Cleveland. Dude, they suck on the road. They flat out suck on the road. Now, I hate 5.5. I hate it. But 53.5, I lean under, man. It's just, I feel like Cleveland's going to not show up on the road. And last week they didn't cover for me. And this is just me on a fade. That team on the road, fade the way Tennessee's playing.
They have to stop the run. They have to stop Derrick Henry. Again, Cleveland, has found ways to win the past few weeks. I know that Raiders lost, that 16-6 Raiders loss was bad, but they beat the Texans. The Patriots couldn't do that. They beat the Eagles. They beat the Jaguars. They again, and Mike Lennon, but again, they have found ways to win, and it's been pretty impressive what they've done. 8-3. I mean, this is basically the season we imagined them having last year. In which case, which they sucked. The Titans coming off a massive, massive victory against the Colts. That swung their percentages from winning division from, I think it was something like 40-ish% to I think it's 65, 67, something like that percent now of winning that division. They're I think minus 400, something like that. It was a massive win for the Titans. They now hold the division tiebreaker on the Colts because they have a better record in the division, and they're 8-3, so they're a game up. It's technically a game and a half up on the Colts in that division. You expect Tennessee to have a letdown at some point, right? There's going to be a letdown spot, and at some point, I don't know if this is it, Joe. I don't know. I don't know if I can possibly take the Browns here. I don't think I can. Tennessee should at least has a decent run defense. The problem is Tennessee's been terrible on third down all year. They have been. And, I wonder if this is going to be a spot where finally they rebound, they get a bit better. But I don't know. I can't fade Tennessee. I know Cleveland's 8-3. I still think they're probably a little bit worse than that. There's going to be some regression there. I'm going to stick with the Titans. Obviously not playing them, but I'm going to stick with that side this week.
Yep, I agree. And then just while we're on at the Patriots game, dude, Patriots have owned the Chargers, the coaching matchup. Like there's so much there. It's just hard. I think the Pats should win, but every time I think they're gonna win, they lose. They're like one of the most. They have to be a frustrating team to bet on. Like people it's like I don't know how they do it. No, and it's the interesting thing this week is the Cam Newton abdominal issue. I don't know if that's a mind game. I don't know what that is. If there is something there, or if they're just trying to protect the guy or get Stidham reps. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's everything. But I just thought that was something interesting to throw into this week, which, I don't know, maybe a little bit more motivation for the Patriots.
I mean, the Pats are in the playoff hunt. This should be like a Pats minus 2.5 type line right on the road. It's interesting that it's even. I don't think you can back the Patriots this week. I don't think you can. Herbert has been really good. I think that could
good. The defense, dude. Look what they did against the Chiefs this year. They've been in a lot of games. They just can't close the door.
Yep. Yep. I agree with that. I've been impressed with with the Chargers as well. Just from a non-coaching standpoint, I think you have to be impressed with what they've done. From a coaching standpoint, I think you can laugh at them and say that's fucking embarrassing because they've been horrible from a coaching standpoint. It's shocking to me that Anthony Lynn has a job still, but I mean, whatever, to each their own. Wouldn't be my coach, but it is what it is. So I think this is a game where I am going to move on, and to answer Rambo's question here, no, I mean, it's week 13. At some point you got to learn the offense and stop giving excuses. It's week 13. If a rookie quarterback can pick up an offense like Justin Herbert can pick it up, quicker than Cam Newton, there's no excuses anymore. The Patriots offense is complicated. I get it, but Cam Newton's not the guy. He has not been good this season. I have not been impressed by him. I really thought he was going to be good. I had really high hopes for him. He's not been good. If they lose this game this week, it will be embarrassing. The Patriots need to win this game, but there's just no way you can bet it. Can't do it. Can't bet it. So.
All right, and then like I said, I want to kind of get out of here a little sooner than whatever. But one game I just had to bring up quickly is the Rams in Arizona, dude. I saw this trend today, and it doesn't lie. Let me. I gotta find it now. Oh my God, where is it? Here it is, right there. So a couple of things I just wanted to mention quickly. What the fuck is it? I just had it right here. I just had it. It was regarding the Rams in Arizona. Jeez, I lost it, dude. I had it right. I had it right here too. Oh, one thing about Cleveland, they're 1-10 against the spread the last 11 road games. So that's what I was talking about when it came to them. The other thing was Arizona's 0-4 against the spread since their bye week, dude. It's under Sean McVay, the Rams are 6-0, 5-0-1 against the spread versus Arizona in general. They've won every game against Arizona by 23 points, and they've covered every game against Arizona by at least 15 or more.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I like Arizona this week, so I mean they'll probably get killed then. But I do like Arizona. I think that's one of the sides you have to take a look at this week and say, I mean, they're coming off a loss to the Patriots. I think that there's going to be a shitload of people on the Rams this week, even coming off how the Rams looked against a divisional opponent. I think everyone's going to be on the Rams this week. I'll tell you this. I know we haven't given out a lot of PPs today. For merry reasons, but I'm gonna PP this one. Give me the Cardinals +3. I'm gonna take the Cardinals. I'm not gonna be shy away from that one. I like the Cardinals. I'm gonna play it. I do think that they're the side. I will fade the trends, Joe, as we talked about. The trends have not been good. I will fade.
Well, that's not even a trend. It's just the history. That's just history.
It's a trend. Trend of history.
Okay. All right. And then there was another one with Seattle that I wanted to bring up that I saw.
Let's see it.
Where was it? Where the fuck was it? Seattle has had fewer than 50 scored in each of their last 3 games. The Giants have had fewer than 50 points scored in their last 6 games. Colt McCoy is the quarterback this week. He's the worst coverage percent in the NFL since 2000. So Colt McCoy is the worst at covering the spread in 20 years.
That's crazy. That's why it's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, how good he was at Texas, man, and how bad he is in the fucking NFL. And
20 years. He's the worst quarterback against the spread.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable, dude. Whew. Oh boy. That's bad, dude.
Oh God. So there's a lot of stuff out here, Dan. I'm sure we can get into it. There's games we didn't even. Buffalo, San Fran is one. Baltimore, I think, bounces back. We can get into that again, and then we kind of went over the slate. I think we should save a lot for Saturday on our 2-hour show that we'll do 7 to 9. I got an early wake up call tomorrow. One other thing too, I just want to throw out there is Louisiana Tech might be kicking a field goal here before the half. Kind of like Louisiana Tech to run away with it second half, but gotta wait and see that line, my man.
All right, should I give out one more college basketball play?
Yes.
All right, one more college basketball play. I'm going to stick with my under trend here, and I'm going to give out Montana and Southern Utah under 140.5. All right, 140. There's no half there. So just under 140 in Montana, Southern Utah. I gave out a play earlier. It was also an under. We're going to stick with the under trend there, and we're going to go under 140 on Montana, Southern Utah.
Jesus Christ.
So, yep. So that's another one that I like as well. So we will go under 140 there. Oh. So now there's 2. I told you I would give out 2. It looks like that is trending down. So actually, let me see if I can pull up, because that was the number I got a few minutes ago. Let me give you the correct number so that you can have it before we go.
Kind of like Montana in that spot.
130 is 138.5 is now. So instead of 140, let's give out 138.5 because I want to be fair. So I will give out under 138.5. At that number, 138 is good, 137 is good. I personally like it up to 135.5. So I think you can take it anywhere up to 135.5, but 138.5 is good for me too. So there you go.
I think Montana gets their first win of the year today.
Very possible. I can absolutely see that. So,
all right, Dan, that's it for me, man.
All right. So yeah, again, we obviously cut the podcast short a little bit this week. Joe has an early wake up call tomorrow morning. He'll be on Toucher and Rich. We added some college basketball in this week. Went over a little bit to do that. We gave out some plays there. We will kind of go back to things next week.
Ooh, so next week's gonna be tough for me. I am working
Yeah.
the Patriots game on Thursday.
Yep.
So I'm not sure what if Wednesday. I don't know. And then the following week
Is Christmas.
So we're still going to be on our Saturday show, I believe. Right.
Yep. That is
that. What day is Christmas on? Saturday?
No, that is the day after Christmas.
Okay, good. So we're still going to be on our Saturday show. It's just yeah, I think the next 2 weeks might be tough. And then the following week, I think, is New Year's.
The following week, I don't think it's New Year's. I think it's the week after that. That's New Year's. No, you're right. No, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. It is New Year's. It's the second. So
it's our 100th podcast, but we don't know if we're gonna have another one this year.
I would suspect that we will try and do one more podcast this year. I don't know if it will be next week's going to pretty much be virtually impossible for Joe. So maybe I'll do a short, quick college basketball podcast. Would you guys like that if I did like a quick college basketball roundup of the games while Joe's doing football prep? Okay, so I'll do that. And then I think the next week, the week afterwards, we should be able to do one. That's the 17th and 18th.
Yeah, and we got to do some NBA stuff as well.
Yeah.
And who knows what the hell is going on with the NHL?
Yeah.
Who the fuck knows?
I don't know. Yeah. It's gonna be best. So I think what we'll do is I will try and do a quick college basketball landscape next week while Joe does the Patriots game. The week afterward, I think we will have a podcast, Joe. It's not Christmas. That week is empty. So I think we'll have a podcast the 17th. And then the week after is Christmas Eve. I do not plan on doing a podcast this week, and neither does Joe. I think that's more than fair. And then the week after that is the 31st, New Year's Eve. We'll see. We'll see what happens. And Joe and I will be doing the Saturday show. So I know that a lot of you guys have talked about, 2-hour shows is too much for me. I understand. We have tried to find ways to cut that down, so we're cutting it a little bit down. So what I'll do is be able to do some college basketball minutes over the next few weeks, and Joe is going to have a lot to do with Toucher and Rich and the Patriots. So maybe he'll be out for that, and then who knows? Maybe Joe will start doing some college basketball too, because it sounds like
maybe I'll drop
ready.
Some halftimes tonight.
He's fucking ready. It sounds like you're ready.
USC fucking getting smoked right now by 10.
It's early. Again, it's still early in that first half. Again, all it takes is a second half run. I mean, Wright State was fucking murdering Marsh earlier. Now it's 5. Again, it's college basketball, game of runs, man. You know it is. So
yep. All right, this has been our 100th edition of the show. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. Thank you for everybody to who likes gambling and doesn't think it's the worst.
Okay.
To listen to. And I appreciate everybody having our back when people shit on us. So that's cool. You are our family, our betting family, our gambling family. So thank you very, very much for that. And listen, if this COVID thing wasn't happening, maybe we'd go and hang out with you guys somewhere.
Yeah, we have plans for that eventually.
We have plans. It's just we might not be able to allow it in the state. And if we are, then we fucking got to come back. And it's a motherfucker.
Yeah.
It's like a real motherfucker.
Yep.
Everything. Fucking COVID really fucking threw a wrench into whatever we had going on this year.
Yep. And I will say, there's no excuse for how bad we've been football wise, but I'm hoping that college basketball will go better for us, and we'll kind of get back on track there.
I don't know, Dan. The way I look at it, I think a lot of people are in the same boat, man.
I
talk to a lot of dudes, and they're all like, "Dude, I'm like, dude, I can't figure it out either." But my thing though is, I fucking the trends, throw them out the fucking window. I do it, and I even it's weird because I was leaning the Ravens before they changed and moved the games. I was like, oh, they've sucked, and then watch they're gonna come in, and I didn't think they had a chance, and boom, it happened. So. Throw all the shit out the window, man. It's been a fucking and the Revs. The Revs on Sunday, 3:30. Nobody will hear it though. But yes, the Revs plus 196, huh?
And I gave out a soccer play on Toucher and Rich. So go listen to that podcast. Saturday, I'm planning on giving 2 more soccer plays. 2 more. So I'll give out those on Saturday. Yep. So big fucking tease there. So by the way, we should have taken that Utah second half. They are wrecking Washington.
Fucking rolling. I saw it. Ravens season total. Oh yeah, season totals, Dan. I don't even know if we should look at those.
We will do a recap at the end of the season, without a doubt.
All right, it's episode 100. He's Dan Lifshitz. I'm Joe Murray. This has been another edition of DraftKings Over Under 985.
Who you got? Good luck this week, guys. Talk to you Saturday.
Later.